Hey guys, can you hear me? Uh, we had to share this on Instagram, so cool. So you guys can hear me. All right, good. Cool. Let's get some questions in. So appreciate you guys for joining. Kind of last minute here, but I wanted to get some questions answered. I am going to be away for a little while, so I wanted to come in and do a live because I don't know the next time I'm going to do a live. It might be a few weeks or maybe a month. Who knows? But anyway, so we're going to get some questions in. So be sure to type your questions in now. Also, if this is your first time, let me give you a shout out. Shout out to Jocelyn. So welcome. All right. We're going to get some questions in. It's going to be a good time. We're going to do at least an hour, but we might go a little bit longer, right? So let's see here. What else? If you're just tuned in, do me a favor, hit the like button for me. Hit the like button so we can get some more people in here. Also, if you want to support the channel, you can send a super chat, much appreciated. And also, if you want to skip the line, you send a super chat. I answer super chat questions first. But that said, type your questions in now because at least I'll be able to get to most of the early questions before the super chats start coming in. But anyway, without further ado, let's jump into it. Ice Cold said Astros cheated. You know what? I don't know too much about baseball. I just happen to live in Houston, bro. So, but thanks for letting me know. But shout out to Lynn V. Shout out to Jamie. Hey guys. Shout out to Zamina. Hey. All right, let's see. We got Dame Dollar says, I just got dumped last week, so I started watching your stuff. I really need help because I don't know if she is worth missing. What do you mean? Like you're not sure if you want to get back with her? Is that what you're saying? I'm not sure exactly what you're saying. Uh, but Len V says loyal fans here. Shout out to you guys, man. I appreciate it. Let me just say, I don't get to say it enough. I don't take breaks in the videos to say this, but thank you so much for watching. Again, I understand this is not about me. You guys are going through a lot. So even watching the videos, however they help you, I get so much feedback when I talk to people on the calls, and it's mind blowing. It literally is mind blowing. This is a passion. I love what I do, but I'm thankful that you find it helpful. Okay. Anyway, let's see. Next question we got is from uh I'm trying to get my wife back. Okay, what's your question? Len V says, where's the suit? Well, I don't wear a suit every day. It just kind of depends. And yeah, from time to time. Hey coach, remember to save the live. Yes, I will. I will make sure to save this live so you can watch it on the channel later. Magic Magic Enim, something like that. Why exes don't come back in 7 months? So I'm not. Let's assume you're talking about your situation. So your ex didn't come back in 7 months. Let's just assume that because there's no other context. Well, there's a lot of reasons. So first of all, every breakup is different. There's similarities for sure. Like there's certain patterns that I've seen over and over and over again that is 100% true. But every individual breakup is different because what is the reason that this happened? What truly caused the breakup? And when I have calls with people, that's what I spend at least the first half hour is going over the whole relationship, right? The whole timeline and really figuring out what ultimately caused the breakup. Because most times it's never the thing that they say at the end of the relationship. It's usually never that. There's usually a pattern of things that have happened over time. So to figure out and diagnose properly what happened, okay, like what was the gravity, what was the reason. Secondly, most people don't handle breakups properly in my experience. Most people, it's very difficult, and understandably so, to have the emotional self-control to not send a message, to not call when you get weak, when you get scared, or even sometimes when they breadcrumb you. How do you handle these things? I was talking to a client today, and she was like, everything seems like a game. And I understand that. And ultimately, what I would say is what I am trying to help teach is to help you improve your self-esteem. If you think about it, a lot of the things that we're talking about, it may sound like game, like tactical, but really it's about having self-respect for yourself. It's about having boundaries. It's about advocating for yourself and standing up for what you want and for what you deserve. So when you're coming from that perspective, it's not going to feel like as much of a game, because it's really not. It's like standing up for yourself shouldn't be a game. Having boundaries with your ex and even other people in your life should not be a game. So being in no contact, if you think about it from a self-respect and self-esteem perspective, if someone shuts the door in your face, it kind of makes sense to walk in the other direction. You get fired from a job, you don't sit outside knocking and begging, let me in. So a lot of the things, even with the texting, or it is coming from a place of having high standards for yourself. And those types of things do raise attraction. Okay. So again, 7 months, why your ex didn't come back in your specific situation, it could depend on a lot of things. Right. So but I certainly wouldn't be waiting for an ex for 7 months for sure. So we got a super chat from Joshua Terrell. Joshua says, "Hey coach, Joshua from last live. The girl I wanted to block me, who was hanging out with me after the breakup. Do you think I should move on?" Again, so let me remind you guys, and I appreciate the question, Joshua. Um, there's so many questions that come in, and again, I appreciate the support, I really do, but I can't remember every individual situation to the T. And so when you just hop in from a girl I wanted to block me, which you shouldn't be telling anyone to do anything, you let them go, right? You go into no contact. And secondly, how long ago was the breakup? Was it 2 months ago, 1 month ago, 6 months ago? A lot of times you're only asking that question, and I understand, out of fear, because you want to know, do I still have a chance? And you need to slowly stop thinking from that perspective over time. Stop thinking like she's doing you a favor, right? She's not doing you a favor, and you deserve someone who is sure about you. So stay in no contact. That's the genesis of this thing. All right. No contact first and foremost. You work on yourself, you do all the other things that we talk about, and the ball is in her court. So I don't have like exactly what happened in the past. All I have is what you're sharing here. So when I read that and you tell me I was telling her to block me, that tells me basically you were communicating with her after the breakup. That's what that tells me. That tells me she didn't dump you and you didn't walk away. She dumped you and there was some interactions and you're like, okay, maybe you should block me. So you still likely haven't done no contact to a T, or you're just starting today. And that's another thing that surprises me. A lot of people I'll talk to, they're like, man, like your videos have saved me. Like you've helped me so much. I watch them every day. But for the most part, they're still communicating with their ex. So this thing is very difficult. I get that. I 100% agree. But if you're not willing to take action, if you're not willing to do the thing for a long time, and for most people, and on average, it's not going to take months and months for you to hear something for most people. But if you just cannot do the thing, if you cannot stay away and just hold yourself a little bit longer, then you won't really have any progress. But yeah, if you want to share more about your situation, definitely send more details, like when the breakup happened, what happened, and so on. But if you're just joining, welcome. All right, we're gonna have a good time. We're gonna have a live session where I'm answering your questions. Drop your questions in the chat, okay? I will get to them as soon as I can. But as you can see, the questions start to build up, okay? Don't spam the chat, please. Don't send your question a million times. Just send it. I'm gonna go through them. If you want to skip the line, send a super chat like Josh did. I answer super chat questions first for sure, but I'm going through these questions. I'm going to answer as many as I can, but obviously I won't be able to get to all of them. Do me a favor, hit the like button for me. I appreciate it. Thank you. It really means a lot. And for the people who were here earlier, you heard me say, and I do have to reiterate to the new people that just joined, thank you. Okay. Thank you all for your support. Thanks for watching. And I'm glad you find the videos helpful. I really do. Okay. Let's see here. Let's see. Let's get some questions here. Bit Bob says we're gonna miss you. Well, I won't be gone for like I'm only gone for a week. Okay, I'm gonna be out for a week, so you won't be able to book any calls next week. All of next week and maybe a little of the week after. But I'm recording some videos in anticipation of this, so you'll at least see one or two videos between now and then. But that's why I wanted to do the live. I wanted to answer some questions in lieu of the fact that, like I said, I won't be around next week. Okay, let's see here. Okay, George. He says he just lost his dad, and his mom's leg got amputated. It's been so hard for me, and my wife left me because of my actions. Well, that's definitely a difficult place to be. Okay. And my suggestion, George, is that you need to have some good people around you. This is not the time because what is going to happen, and I understand this because a lot of times men in general tend to think from the perspective of commitment and like so for example, a guy can be like, oh, well, but we were married for 20 years. And so because of that, you feel this right or expectation to be able to call her to process what you're going through. And I certainly understand that, but that is not her responsibility currently. So if you do that and call her and you dump your feelings on her, she might be there for you. It's not impossible. She might. But again, she chose to leave during these situations. She's well aware they were happening. So my suggestion is you need to spend time with other people that love you. For now, get that energy from them, whether that's therapy, whether that's friends, whoever. Okay. And at least give this space. Go no contact. Give this some time and space. All right. And she's definitely going to know what you're going through. She's going to hear about it. And if there's an ounce of care left, she's going to reach out to you. So be patient. Lynn V, why are ladies hell bent on controlling men? I can't agree with that premise. That's not a great premise. If anything, I would say that a lot of times women test you just to know that you can date and court them properly. And if you're going to be in a household together, that you can lead them properly. So it's not really about control. And if she can control you, chances are she's going to dump you sooner or later. She doesn't actually want to control you. She wants you to be your own man. I'm actually working on a series of videos. I want to make, so I'm saying this live, so I actually have to, make sure this gets done soon. But a series of videos for men and a separate series of videos for women specific to breakups, because I think understanding, like it's so interesting when I'm talking to clients and what I see for the vast majority of times, a lot of times is the ladies don't understand the plight of men or the issues or the grievances a lot of times. And vice versa. Men don't understand the actual plight of women and where you actually went wrong. In general, obviously, your wife or your girlfriend is an individual, But generally speaking, you know, for the lady, it's going to come down to safety. And if she's dumping, you're doing things that make her feel unsafe in the relationship. And what I find vice versa for men is a lot of times the man is not feeling respected and appreciated. But it's a difficult nuance because I would say ladies in general actually have a better excuse to be surprised when a breakup happens because a lot of times men don't always vocalize the problems because of how they're socialized. And to a lot of men, not arguing or not fighting means that there's peace in the relationship. So as long as we're not fighting, all right, but there's actually issues. They're just not bringing it up, you know. And men have been taught, oh, take it like a man, take it on the chin, things like that. So most times, a woman is going to be more blindsided by a breakup because a lot of times the guy didn't vocalize it. I'm not disparaging either. This is me as a breakup coach seeing things from two different perspectives, right? So I'm going to make a series of videos for each so you can kind of understand. And then for the guys, I would say the reason why men have less of an excuse is because ladies generally care more about safety and security. If there is if something's off in the relationship, your lady is gonna notice. I promise you. She knows your habits. She knows your demeanor. She knows how you talk. She knows everything about you. And once something's off in that, she can feel it. And naturally, she's gonna start bringing it up. So this is where men go wrong. Is that you think they're like, oh, she's nagging, but she's those issues are constantly being voiced because she can feel in certain ways she's losing attraction. She can feel things are off. And so she's bringing up these issues. All right. And what tends to happen is that, one, as men, because you're solution focused, we're all solution focused, instead of listening in the moment and really understanding, you just go into fix it mode. So she says, for example, let's say, here's a simple one, right? And I've heard these exact. This is not grounds for a breakup, obviously, but let's say, for example, she tells you, she says, for you to put gas in her car. And you said, okay, babe, I got you. I'm gonna put gas in your car. I got you. I love you. I'll take care of it. And 2 days later, she looks at the gas tank and you never put any gas in her car. She's run out of gas. And she calls you and she's upset. And she's like, and you told me you were gonna get gas, and now I'm running out of gas, and da da da. Right. And then you're like, babe, it's just gas. Like, you know what? When you get back home, don't worry, I got it. I'm gonna go put gas in your car. So in that moment, to the guy, it's over. I just put gas in your car. It's over. Problem done. We can get back to being happy. But the issue is now she doesn't trust your word. So that's the real problem. It may, in the moment, it sounds like it's about the gas, and you guys are having this thing about the gas. But in that moment, she's lost trust in you, right? And then now maybe she's questioning your decision making. And then you tell her, you give her your word on something else, she doesn't trust you to follow through. So, anyway, point is, I'm going to make something like that for one for the fellas and one for the ladies. But anyway, thanks for being here. Hit the like button for me. We'll get to some more questions. If you want to skip the line, send a super chat and I will answer your question first. So let's get some of these super chat questions in. So Joshua says, the breakup was a couple weeks ago. I saw her in a library during no contact and called me on the phone on no caller ID, called her back. She said nothing. Yeah, it's been a couple of weeks. All right. And see how, like, your question to me, your first question was, do you think I should move on? It's been a few weeks. All right. If you don't get control of your emotions, you're going to say and do the wrong thing because you're in a fearful state. 2 weeks is not even nearly, or a couple weeks, not even nearly long enough. And in that time, it sounds like she's already reached out once. from a fake number, which I wouldn't have called her. You shouldn't have. Wait for her to reach out to you directly. But, this is nothing, a 2 week breakup is nothing to freak out about, seriously. And I'm speaking from a perspective of someone who has seen thousands of breakups. I've seen people get back together after 2 weeks. I've seen people get back together after 2 years. So, no, don't be fearful, bro. Pam, you sent the super chat, but I don't see a question. So if you had a question, make sure you type it in again so I can go check. All right. Unpopular Fitness says, I know you don't recommend deleting from social, but felt like I had to for true no contact. Too easy for him to come back without truly appreciating me. I'm scared I did the wrong thing. So I would say what's done is done. Okay. Don't do something further to try to correct the mistake. See, the issue with unfollowing and things like that, especially when you don't mean it, is that 2 minutes later you start second guessing. You got to always understand, because you love this person, you're in a place of heightened emotions. So you're doing things, somewhat impulsively, and you don't want to be impulsive. Okay, what's done is done. It doesn't mean he cannot reach out to you. But remember, you want to make it as easy as possible for them to reach out. Now, he has your number. So if he really wants to talk to you bad, he can. But you don't want to get into a situation where basically you make it harder. It's not that they won't come back or they can't come back. It's like now he knows you're doing a thing, like, oh, she unfollowed me. So it makes that person a little more stubborn, right? It makes it like, okay, she doesn't want to talk to me, I don't want to talk to her. As opposed to you just do nothing. All right. So it's not about so many times I see people make this mistake. You're only doing the thing, you're only unfollowing, you're only doing these things to force a reaction. And that is fear. And anytime you're coming from fear, you're going to lose because fear is telling you, okay, do this, do that. And most times it's going to be the wrong decision. But it's okay. I wouldn't do anything further. Just, stay in no contact. Okay. 13 Sprinter. 13 Sprint user with super chat says, had a date with ex-girlfriend middle of January. Middle of January, 6 weeks after breakup. Okay. 3 weeks no contact. She texted first. Okay. My birthday was February 13th. After the date, she asked where I wanted to go, but then didn't text on my birthday or bring it up. No contact for 1 month. Tips. No contact for 1 month. So let's do the math here. Middle of January. So you had a date middle of January. So we're in the first week of March. And so that tells me, see how the little, like you guys skip the details, and correct me if I'm wrong. What this looks like to me, and this is probably what happened. So you've only been on one date, okay? You've only been on one. Let's just look at the numbers real quick. You've been on one date, okay? And you've been in no contact for 1 month. So 1 month from today, let's call that February 6th. So between the middle of January and February 6th, that tells me you were in communication. All right. I don't know how often, how frequently, but you were having some kind of consistent communication because you were talking about your birthday and she's saying, where do you want to go? So you're communicating, but you're not going on dates. So that tells me you fell for the trap of you go for a date and you think everything's back to normal. You get back to talking all the time. Chances are you're not letting her do all the initiation because she's the one that ran away. So you have to let her energy push things forward. Now, when she reaches out, you set a date, right? Instead of staying on the phone and texting back and forth. Because that way, If you did that, one of two things would have happened. Either you would have seen each other at least one more time in February, and actually middle of January, you might have seen each other three times. So that was a mistake. If you want to share the details, you can and clarify those assumptions I'm making. But that's what it sounds like to me. So you had a date, you probably started over pursuing, acting like everything was back to normal, and she went back into the relief phase. Even, and this is also how you need to think about it. She's so much in the relief phase that she didn't even care to bring up your birthday. Like it did, like, so that tells you that someone who went on a date with you middle of January, she feels like she has access to you whenever she really wants it. Anyway, but thanks for your question though. You gotta stay stronger, bruh. Yeah. So that's what he said. He said, I agree that I probably over pursued. We made out. She said she had a good time. Well, remember, it's like a date is just, that's a snapshot of how she felt in that moment. It was a good time. You leave her wanting more. And so if you had a good time and you just stayed away, she would have reached, especially after you made out, she would have reached out to you the next day or 2, 3, 4 days later. She reaches out, you're like, hey, good to hear from you. Yeah, I had a great time. She's like, man, I had such a good, like, man, I had such a great time too. We should do it again. When are you free? That's it, as opposed to texting all the time. But if you are the one who initiated and you kept texting her, uh, that's why she backed away. Okay, so a super chat from Julian says, ex accused me of cheating because she had a, okay, um, didn't even want to kiss me after saying she's turned off. I broke up, felt like she waited for it. What's your question for me? What's your question for me? One, is it actually true? Right? A UTI, right? Is it actually true? I was trying to read that. One, is it actually true? And if it's not true, I mean, you got to communicate. But you're the one that broke up with her, as opposed to, because obviously that's a huge accusation, right? That you cheated on her. But um, was there any conversation about this? Was there any attempt to try to talk about it versus just a breakup? So I'm curious about that. I'm assuming it's not true since you're asking a question, but I need a little more detail, bro. Okay, let's get some of these other questions here. Um, Carl says, was dumped a month ago, went no contact, but I have an event coming in 4 weeks and she will attend. Should I not go? Well, it depends on what the event is. Like you gotta think from that perspective of the X is no longer the center of your universe. So what is this event? Let's say, for example, you're the best man at a wedding, right? So one of your guy friends is having a wedding and you're the best man, but you know, the bride is her cousin. Like you got to be there. But if it's like something that you don't have to be, then you don't have to go to it. Don't use, for example, let's say the event is, maybe there's some kind of like, um, there's an art show or something that you don't have to be at, then you don't have to go to that. So I'll always decide from that perspective. Is the X is no longer the center of my universe. How important is this event to me? What does it have to do with me, my goals, my purpose, my social circle, my social life? And if it's important to you, then you go. All right. But do not use this as an excuse. Because if you go there, what tends to happen if you're focused on her, you know what your eyes are going to be doing? She's going to catch you looking. She's going to, because you're going to be focused on her. All right. So really think from that perspective. Carol, I dumped my ex on my birthday and he's super angry and trying to intentionally what? What's your question? Yeah, you didn't, I don't see you. You said intentionally something. Anyway, type your question in properly if you have something to ask. How to stay no contact when I work in the same place with my child's mom and she's dating someone else, but I was the one who dumped her. I said sorry. She said it's too late, but yesterday she offered me food. I said no thanks. Um, well, so there's a couple of things here. One, you work together. I'm not sure what type of job this is, but you know, just very similar to what I said for the last person. Your purpose, your career, your mission, your values come first, and so you have to do your job properly. All right. I'm not sure what type of career or what job this is, but so if there's anything, if there's anything in your job that requires you to interact with her from a work perspective, then that's fine. You keep it as short and sweet as possible. You treat her like your coworkers. I mean, think about there's a lot of your coworkers that you're not best of friends with, but when you see them in the morning, like if you walk past each other, you'll still say good morning, right? But outside of that, I would not initiate conversations with her. One. Second thing is, I need you to spend some time with yourself alone, journal, and think about what are the reasons why you dumped her. Because sometimes you wanting her back has only to do with your ego. She's dating someone else, and all of a sudden now you're like, oh, I want to fix things. I'm sorry. Now, I'm not saying you don't love her. I just want you to spend some time and really assess and think about, is that your reason for wanting to fix things? Because if it is, then you don't want to waste your time or her time. So spend some time reflecting and thinking about that. The third thing is if she's with someone else, just assume that that's where she's going to be. Don't try to convince her. Now, I'm not saying that this relationship is going to last. A lot of times it doesn't. But my point is, you need to allow her to go through that roller coaster separate from you. So to me, her offering you food tells me two things. Likely you've pulled back some, and she's noticed that. She's noticed the energy shift, and she's just trying to see where you're at. She's probably still dating the guy, but she's noticed your energy shift. So it's fine that you said no. All right. So just go back into no contact. If she takes a more direct approach, like, hey, we need to talk and so on, I would just circle back to, okay, has something changed? Are you still with this dude or what? And if she's in a relationship with him, I would not talk to her. I would not deal with her until that's over. Okay. But I can bet that relationship is not gonna last. 6 months, this is Tracy Harrison, super chat. 6 months, no contact. Gonna send a Hail Mary text. What should I say? Okay, Tracy, a couple of things. So I'm assuming when we talk about the Hail Mary text, which ideally, okay, let me say this. Let me put and I've said this in the video, so I want to be clear. Ideally, okay, no contact is forever. Meaning if they don't reach out to you, you don't reach out to them. That is the best strategy 100%. And most times, if you do no contact well, you're going to get something. I can almost guarantee it. So let's assume that you did no contact properly. Because what I get from people is like, oh, 6 months no contact, but the breakup happened 8 months ago. So you spent the first, 2 or 3 months chasing and chasing. So to me, it's like you've already sent multiple text messages. Like there's no point saying the same thing. So let's say you did no contact well. But you are the type of person, this is the only exception, one. You're the type of person that is so anxious and you need something more so as closure. Meaning, let me be clear. Sometimes, and I've seen this work, the Hail Mary does work. But I want your mindset to be when you're at the point where you're ready to send a Hail Mary, which is a one and done, one shot, one message. If they don't respond, it's over. I need you to be in a place where you're mentally ready to handle that. Because you don't want to send a message, they don't respond, and you try again in 2 weeks or in a month. Okay. So ideally, no contact is forever. But if you're extremely anxious and you need that one final, like, are they in or out? One final time. And also, sometimes your ex can be the type of person who they are also extremely fearful and anxious in things because they hurt you. That's the only exception. Okay. And it's one message. I wouldn't say anything more than, hey, just checking in. Hey, how are you? Like a very simple, like it doesn't need to be this grand thing like, oh, I've spent the last 6 months processing and figure out how I went wrong. You don't need all that. If you actually did something wrong in a relationship, hopefully you've already taken ownership at the time of the breakup or in that time span. And so you don't need to reiterate. You're just testing to see if they're even willing to talk to you. So just, hey, what's up? Hey, you crossed my mind, whatever. Hey, I went walk past so and so and you crossed my mind. How you been? Simple. That's it. I would do no more than that. If you don't get a positive response, walk away forever. If you get a positive response, then you know the next thing should be getting together, not fixing the relationship, just getting together. Oh, hey, awesome, whatever, right? You have a little bit of a back and forth. But Tracy, I'll say this, if you've been 6 months no contact and you got nothing, none of the other things that we talk about, a random reach out, breadcrumbs, nothing, that's not a great sign because that tells me a lot about where your ex's mindset is at. Doesn't seem like they care that much. But one and done, that's all I would do. I wouldn't do any more than that. Okay. Cool. All right. Let's see here. Next question. Let's see. Okay. So we got another question from Josh. Josh says, together for 4 months, had interest in me and reached out, rushed things, and she thinks I'm not good for her. Trying to show her after the breakup how much I cared, gave me a shot and was good. No, my guess is, okay, my guess is just based on reading the little bit of context you've given me. My guess is you are portraying yourself as a little too needy. That's my guess. Because she dumped you after 4 months. Then you guys didn't even get past like the full honeymoon phase. So that means in the early phases of the relationship, which tends to be easier, she got turned off. So that tells me, like, again, you're probably over pursuing, a little needy, more invested in the relationship that she was, and then she started second guessing. That's my guess. But anyway, but the fact of the matter is, based on where you are today, you've only been broken up for a few weeks, and you're already too fearful. You need to relax a little bit. You're fine. Don't do anything. I wouldn't reach out. I wouldn't call her. It's still too early to get like this fearful. And you shouldn't be fearful anyway. Sinoper with super chat. Break up 5 weeks ago. 4 weeks no contact. I asked for her back first week. She now has breadcrumbed me twice. I kept it indifferent, want her back. What else can I do? What do you mean by breadcrumb me? What exactly did she do or say? And here's the thing, guys. I gotta say this. So a couple of things. I'm gonna recommend some books, and I'm gonna recommend like you gotta spend a little bit of time, invest the time, watch the videos. Okay, that's why I make search for some of the things. Spend the time on. Why I understand it's like 15-minute videos. I get it. I'm not telling you that for views. It's like so what you're saying, what I'm reading there seems to align with the video I made a couple of weeks ago about if you are in the masculine and she's reaching out to you, you need to do something about it. You're supposed to lead it to where you want to go. So if breadcrumb means she texted you, hey, how was your day or something, and you were expecting her to text you this like, oh, I'm sorry, let's get back. That's just not going to happen. So if that's the case, just based on the little you've shared. So I want to make sure you fully understand what the dance needs to look like after a breakup. And that just means you haven't watched enough videos. I'm going to recommend a couple books. Okay. Sometimes you just have to improve your overall fundamental knowledge. Okay. So I don't know any, I always feel the need to say this because I'm not recommending these books because I get paid. These are just good relationship books and attraction books. And I think that sometimes while you're in no contact, it's very productive for you to learn about attraction. It prepares you. And then you combine that with the videos. If I had my own book, maybe I would say, go read my book, but I don't. Okay. So here's the books I would recommend. I would recommend um, for the guys, I would recommend you look at How to Be a 3% Man by Corey Wayne. It's a solid book. I don't agree with every single thing he says, but it's a solid book. It teaches you good fundamentals. The other book I would recommend for guys is Way of the Superior Man. It's a good book. Okay, go check those two out. For the ladies, I would say a good book, actually, I would say for ladies is Men Are From Mars, Women Are from Venus. That's a good book to get you started. Okay. Read those books while you wait. I think it'll help you understand what this dance should look like. And then, you combine that with the videos, which we talk about mindset, we talk about tactical things you can do. But seriously, because I talk to some people and I can just tell like your fundamentals of understanding relationship is off. Like I might be talking to a guy, and I'm just gonna combine a lot of examples, but I might be talking to a guy, for example, that is like he's been over pursuing, texting her for weeks. She's ignored. She broke up, let's say, oh, even perfect. I might be talking to a guy who they never even got into a relationship. So they were never official. He over texted, over chased, over pursued, and she says, hey, I'm not interested. Since then, he's called, he's texted, he's sent like he's done everything. And she's just literally at a point where when I read the message, I'm like, you send her another message, there's going to be cops at your front door. Right. So even understand, like being able to read a message and understand like where you're actually at. So I think those books are good for that, to get your fundamentals in order. Okay. So yeah, there you go. All right, let's see here. Let's get some of these. Let's get some of these super chats out the way. But thank you all for being here. Hey, do me a favor. If you're enjoying the live stream, if you're getting any value out of it, please do me a favor, hit the like button. I appreciate it. Okay. It means a lot, and it really does help support the channel. If you have any questions, just type it in the comment section. I will do my best to get to as many more as I can. But if you want to skip the line, send a super chat, and I get to those first. All right. So next super chat we got from Cy or CY. 1.5 weeks since the breakup. She returned my keys. Should I reach out about returning her stuff, or wait for her to reach out? Should I post on social media, or go silent to attract her back. Well, when she returned her keys, I don't know if she returned it when you weren't there, but that was an ideal time to give her back her stuff. Secondly, what stuff are we talking about specifically? Like, if she's got like a t-shirt at your house, like it's not that important. It's not grounds to reach out. Don't make excuses to force things. Big picture, 1.5 weeks is not even nearly enough. They're not even close. So my real question is, I hope you've been doing no contact. Because if you're doing it well, you're going to get something. I can't stress this enough, but I think like I'm speaking from a place of I've seen these patterns over like this is all I do. Just so you know, this is all I do every day. I'm talking to multiple people about their breakup. So I've seen thousands of examples. 1.5 weeks is not even nearly enough time for the average person to start to feel anxious, especially the dumper, right? The dumper, not the dumpy. And so don't freak out. Don't freak out, bro. I promise you. Relax and wait a little bit longer. Let me tell you something else about the ladies, which is true. A lot of times the ladies will leave stuff at your place. They are aware it's still there. And they do that intentionally. One, it kind of wards off other women, right? So if another woman comes to your house and sees like hair ties and clips and stuff, like they'll assume that you're in a relationship. And secondly, it's always an excuse. It's always a way for her to reach out to you in the future. So if anything, her leaving her stuff is not a bad thing. So I wouldn't do anything about it. I would just stay no contact. Vinny, I see a super chat with no question, and I appreciate it. So you understand when you send a super chat, um, I need you to pair your question with the super chat. Now I know there's probably some kind of dollar threshold. I don't know how it works on your side of things, frankly, but I don't see any question with your super chat. All right, so let's see. BH56 says, "What's your opinion on long distance relationship breakup? For a relationship that was once very healthy when we were in person, could it work out?" Absolutely, it could, but it depends on a lot of things. It depends on a lot of things. It depends on the season of life. So, for example, a very common breakup is, high school transitioning into college. And that's a lot of times when long distance tends to happen. One partner goes to a school on the East Coast, one partner goes to a school over there. And also, you're at a phase in life where people are just finding themselves. Okay. So again, those are a lot trickier. But if you were together as two grown adults, right, working and all this, and then someone had to move, it's still possible that it could be fixed. But outside of any other detail, that's just based on the little that you've given me. Yes, I do think it's possible it could work out. Pamela says, my previous super chat question: why is going no contact so difficult? I mean, think about it. It's an unexpected loss. All right. You think about anyone you love or care about. And even if your relationship wasn't perfect, think about people in your life currently. Like maybe your parents, your sister, your brother. You might not talk to them every single day. On some level, it may even come across like you take them for granted in certain ways. But if you woke up tomorrow and you figured out that they had passed away, you would be broken. All right. So that's a lot of times what makes no contact so difficult is it was an unexpected loss that you were not prepared for. One. And two, the second thing that makes it harder, when a loved one passes away, at least your mind knows that you can never speak with them again on this earth. But it's different when the source of your pain is literally down the street and you have to not talk to them. So it's understandably very difficult. And so that's why, watching videos and getting motivation is good, like distracting yourself a lot of times. because it's not easy. Most people, like, unless you have, for the average person, if no contact is easy, then you might have some kind of personality disorder, right? Where you just don't have emotions. It's not easy at all. Unpopular Fitness says, wish I could afford a call. We kept getting back together, just taking breaks. Felt like he needs to truly have the breakup so he can figure out what he wants. Issues were kids and his family hated me. Uh, I understand. And here's the thing, I appreciate the question. And the calls are not for everyone. All right. Like, definitely make sure you have an issue to talk about because it is an investment. So I don't have every single detail about your relationship, but and also I don't know how old you are. But another one of the big ways that men are socialized, right? I know you guys were not married. It's at the end of the day, if he loved you above all else, the rest of the people in his life will get in line. And so that's not a great sign. So there's likely some internal things of his own justification of why he doesn't want the relationship, but he's telling you those other things because it's easier to explain. Because here's the thing about, unless you were extremely toxic, I mean, like physically abusing people, um, all men and guy friends know this, and family members. When a guy talks about a woman highly, the last thing people that are close to him will do is to disrespect her. So if he went to bat with you and say, guys, this is, I love her, this is it, they would get in line for sure. So that's a red flag for me. But um outside of any other details, I mean, you're doing the right thing. Like, you got to let him choose you, you can't force him. Joshua Terrell says, she was the needy one. I was distant, upset of me on lack of effort. I got attached near the end where she became distant, showing her I care. Yeah, chances are, the reality is, chances are the roles reversed. And I can't say how long ago it switched, but I'm telling you, if she was attached, I mean, look back to when she was attached. She might have been complaining, but she didn't leave. So chances are the roles reversed and you became the needy one in the relationship. Because think about it, and I see examples of this all the time. If she was needy, think about it, needing your attention, all her energy, even when she's arguing or fighting, it's with a desire to get closer. So if she was the one that was the needy one and she ends things and you're begging and you're saying, hey, let's work on this, she would happily give you a chance, happily, because that's what she wants anyway. Right? Needing, think about what neediness means, right? You need something, just kind of like you need air to breathe. And so if that's how she felt about you, the moment you give her the supply she's looking for, that oxygen tank, she's not going to say, get this away from me. Just wouldn't happen. So my guess is, I'm not sure, how long you were in the needy position, but towards the end, that's definitely what happened. And she lost feelings for you. So just relax, bro. Vinny, X and I have been on and off for a while. She brings more stress than peace. I love her, but I know it needs to be over. She blows my phone up. How do I let go? Well, if I were you, I would communicate to her clearly where you're at. And if she cares about you, she's probably going to fight for the relationship. There's going to be tears, there's going to be yelling, but I would communicate clearly. And then after that, like, you have to walk away for the both of you. Because the more you entertain it, it's like you're dumping fuel on the fire of her emotions, So, but after you do that, I'm going to recommend another book that I like. I've talked about on my channel before, is Letting Go. Letting Go by what's his name? John a blank. But look it up. If you look at if you Google Letting Go, I'm sure you'll find it. It's a good book. and it'll help you kind of process detaching, because that's ultimately what it's about. It's about detaching. Um, Rachel, what do you think would cause a fiance proposer, okay, to break up 5 months later and 2 days after putting a deposit on the wedding venue? No contact, 3 months, did not cheat. Um, so I was alluding to this earlier. This is deeper, okay? And with only that amount of information, I can't make generalizations and accusations, but I'll tell you, big picture, masculine energy is about drive, mission, succeeding, achieving. And one of the big things, I'm sure you've heard this in the past, right? Um, a man is only as good as his word, or your word is bond. That's a very big thing with masculine energy. So if he got on one knee and proposed, and he put a deposit on the wedding, that tells me he was invested. And so chances are, okay, and you would need to share more information with me. To him, something major happened that was worth walking away from this. And so it may not appear that way. And I was alluding to a lot of times why men break up. And a lot of times it's tied to a lot of times respect, not feeling heard, not feeling appreciated, and not feeling valued. A lot of times. But the issue is most times they may stay in a relationship without communicating these grievances because they're thinking, well, if we don't argue, I'm keeping the peace. So with him doing those things, to me, he was likely invested. So I'd be very curious about the things that happened between the both of you. And it doesn't need to be a blow up fight that happened around that time. I'd be very curious about those things. Anyway, but if you want to talk about it, you can book a call. And actually, like I said, I'm gonna be away next week, and probably like the next week and a half. So just heads up, if you want to book a call, I think I got a couple of slots, one tomorrow, and I think three Friday, and that's it. So, and then I'll be gone for a couple weeks. All right. Let's see here. Cinema Suite says, no, coach, want to thank you for your work, slowly letting go of ex of 8 years, declined friendship twice, not heard anything for 2 weeks, serious no contact, 2 months total. Awesome. Good. Good job. I'm super proud of you. I know it's hard. I know it's very hard. Um, it's very hard, but hang in there. Joshua. Okay, here's what I'm going to say, Joshua. You see, like, here's the thing, and understand, and I'm not sure how old you are. You didn't say. So understand this is coming from, I don't have full details about your situation, but this is coming from a place of love. You sent like four super chats before this, and I kind of explained my thoughts on the neediness and insecurity and over pursuing likely. And I told you it's been 1.5 weeks, 2 weeks, do nothing. And you ask again, like literally 2 seconds later, should I just move on? That's neat. That's giving me anxious behavior. So there's no way, and again, you don't know me personally, right? And so the point is, you're not as invested in me as you're invested in her. So chances are, let's say you're texting her and she doesn't respond right away. How many messages do you send her? How many, why aren't you texting back? How many of those types of behaviors did you do at the end before she dumped you? Because this is very, my stance has not changed. I told you, again, remember, this is coming from a place of love, but I see this, I'm looking at the pattern and I can tell you, chances are you're going to be doing 10 times worse when she triggers you. If you cannot learn to work on controlling your emotions, learn to control your emotions, You're going to chase her away sooner or later. I can guarantee it. So, my answer to you again, Josh, is to do nothing. The breakup literally happened 1 week or 2 weeks ago. And you said, oh, even with her calling me, according to what you said earlier, if I remember, you got a call from a blocked number. So you don't know for sure it was her. It's possible it was her, but you don't know for sure. So let's assume it wasn't. Do nothing. And you called her afterwards directly. She didn't answer. Do nothing. And flip it. Let's even assume it was her. Well, it's a blocked number. You said hello. She didn't answer. So when she's ready to talk, when she's ready to make a more direct move and you're doing no contact, she will reach out to you. Stop, looking for me to say yes or no after 1 week. Again, this is just the reality is that is coming from fear. You want a definitive, you want to fix it right now. That's not how this works, bro. You gotta quote unquote play the long game. All right. You gotta have emotional self-control. Wait for her to reach out to you. 2 weeks is not even close to long enough. Okay. If you're doing this online and this is actually costing you money to send these, right? What about a text message that's free? So if she doesn't say anything or she ignores you for one, how many messages are you sending? How many? Why haven't I heard from you? How many? How could you do this? It's all energy. Everything in life is energy. So if you're doing this now, this energy that you're investing is about her, right? So I know there's no way that you were not the needy one. Impossible. Impossible. Anyway, so understand, okay, this is coming from a place of love. You need to calm down. Get the books that I recommended if you were listening, and they'll help you. You got to be more in your masculine energy. Needy behavior, like fearful, anxious, is actually more feminine. Now, let me say, we all have masculine and feminine energy, but as the man, you have to lean more. You have to be more dominant in your masculine. And so, um, sending all those messages and stuff is very feminine energy, and she's going to get turned off by it. And I'm not just saying that to say, like, literally, and you can look this up. On average, women tend to be more anxious than men. That is a true statement. Okay, so relax, bro. It'll be well. Okay, it's still way too early to freak out, I promise. Anyway, let's see the next question. So Maya. Okay, Maya, I see a super chat with no question. So I'm going to assume that's a donation. But if you do have a question, make sure you type it now in case so I can see it. But I'm just going to assume that's a donation. Let's see. All right, let's do some of these other questions here. Let's get some of these. Oh, okay. Almost missed Victor. Victor super chat says, dated for 2.5 years. I never made it official. She hid someone new. I tried fixing. She now claims she's conflicted. We talk daily for hours, though she's in a new relationship after 2 months. Tried no contact, but we still connect with love. Should I ignore her? Well, again, I'll ask you the same question I asked the other guy. It's you had 2.5 years of dating her and you never made it official. Again, this is not about blame or shame. You need to ask yourself internally, why is that? Because I can guess that she probably wanted to make it official, right? Sounds to me like you didn't want it to be official for 2.5 years. So, what is it about her, about you, about the situation that made you not want to commit to her? Because now all of a sudden you're ready for a relationship, but it sounds like this is all motivated from the fact that she's with someone else now. So you're still operating from fear, scarcity, you know, and things like that. And that's not going to help you get her back. And then you say, oh, well, we talk daily. I bet. It's just, I'm going on a limb here. And confirm, be honest, bro. I bet that in the 2.5 years that you guys dated, when you didn't commit to her, I bet you didn't talk to her daily back then. So, one, I want you to spend some time and be honest and reflect. Do you actually see a future with this person? Be honest. Because to me, nothing is an accident. It's not a coincidence that you had an opportunity for 2.5 years and you did not take it. It's not a coincidence. All right. So think from that perspective, right? And maybe she's not the one for you. Maybe she's not up to the standard that you want. Now, let's assume she is. Let's assume you reflected and you're like, no, I made a mistake. She's always been the one. Let's assume that's the case. Well, I wouldn't be talking to her every day. I wouldn't be talking to her every day. I would just say, hey, I understand you're conflicted, but you're committed to another guy. You're committed to another guy, so I'm going to let you focus on him and walk away. You don't realize, Victor, how much power you have. Because at the end of the day, I bet if she wanted commitment for 2.5 years, she's emotionally invested in you on some level, very emotionally invested in you. And so you need to take all of that communication away. You shouldn't be talking to her every day. You should certainly not be talking to her for hours. Let her live with this choice that she's making. Granted, initially it is your fault for not committing, but now she's made a decision. So let her live with that. You have way more leverage emotionally than this new guy. The only reason why she's still on the fence is that she still has access to you. So you can say, look, I thought like I definitely made a mistake. I think you're special, you're the one, and so on and so forth. But you've chosen this guy, and as much as it hurts, I'm gonna respect it. She's like, oh, I'm conflicted. Hey, I get it, but I can't stand in the way while you're with someone else. So I wish you well. If you change your mind, give me a call. All right. That's all I would say. But yeah, I wouldn't be talking to her all the time. Robert says, hey coach, you missed my super chat above. Where's your super chat, bruh? Where's your super chat, bruh? Let me see. Oh, did I? Let's see. Maybe I did. Hold on. Robert, texting after no contact, she responds. Texting after no contact, she responds but never initiate. After a text, I wait. She responds but never initiate. After a text, I wait a day or two to reach out again. Are her responses breadcrumbs? I know this is still a progress. Again, this is another one of those subtle things. And let me just stress, okay? I appreciate you for even taking the time to ask the question. All right. Understand, tactics alone are not the answer. It's never. And I always inject this into the videos. I talk about mindset, belief systems, knowing who you are, because at the end of the day, I can try to prepare you as much as possible. But every situation I can't predict everything your ex is going to do. I can tell you a lot of the situations that I see, and that's what I base my videos on. I talk to someone and or I see multiple examples of a certain type of thing. I'm like, okay, this will be valuable for people. But that statement, your question tells me you probably haven't watched many of my videos. And this is not about me, but the point is, I can't, and nobody can help you if you don't help yourself first. Take the time. I know you're anxious. Watch some videos. They don't have to be just mine. Because you say texting after no contact, she responds but never initiating. How can you say you're in no contact but you're initiating? That's not no contact. That is not like what does no contact means? No contact, right? Unless I'm misreading something. You said she responds but never initiates. So that tells me you're initiating. And then you say, after a text, I wait a day or two and text again. So you're just chasing her, bro. That's not no contact. No contact means you will do nothing until you hear from her. Nothing. She will never hear from you unless she messages you first. That is no contact. And the reason why her responses are short or slow, because all of the energy is coming from you. She doesn't have any interest currently. You're doing all the work. So it's very obvious. You see, with breakups and no contact in this, it's all about timing. And so when your ex is reaching out to you, understand there's energy behind that. Everything is energy. Something made them pick up the phone and think about you and scroll to your name and find your name and start typing, and they probably backspace and say, should I send this? And then they finally sent it. That's energy. That energy is what's going to push them to where you want it to go, which is getting closer. But if you are not even on their mind, right? And matter of fact, they're trying to distance from you because they just dumped you. And then you send a text, you're like, oh my God, here he goes again. She sends a screenshot to the group chat because she's not currently interested. So there you go, bro. You're not doing no contact. You haven't watched enough videos, probably, which is okay. I'm not mad at you, but I'm just saying, like, you have to help yourself first. Okay. Veronica says, how long do I wait to be claimed by a man before I go no contact? It's been a month for us. Okay, so just to be clear, Veronica, I'm not sure what you're asking. I'm assuming you were together at one point, you broke up, and you've been dating post breakup for a month. Is that what you're saying, or is this a completely new guy? Type it right now, and I'll see it. Type it right now. Or is this a completely new guy you've been dating for a month, and you want him to make you his girlfriend? That's my question. Real quick, type it in so I can see. Let's see. No, it's a completely new guy. 1 month is kind of quick. I would say 2 months, but also I want him to make up his mind. Yeah, 1 month is kind of quick, in my opinion. 1 month is kind of quick. I would like 2 months or so. And as long as you're bringing it up more as hints versus an ultimatum, like, okay, where is this going? What do you want? But 2 months is enough time, right? At least to give you some kind of. So some people in 2024, I mean, there's definitely a modern way of doing things. So sometimes people have two layers before commitment. So they have exclusivity, which is we're not dating other people. We're only date because maybe at that point you guys are intimate. So you're like, okay, to be safe and all that. And so is he even willing to do that? Is he willing to say, I'm not going to see any other women in a romantic capacity? That's one level. Even if he's like, I'm not 100%, like, we just need a little more time. But I'll say about 2 months or so. Uh, let's see here. Okay, but good question. Let's see. So someone says, you skipped my super chat. Hold on. Evolution. Let's see. I didn't see a super chat, but maybe I missed it. Let's see. Evolution. There was no question with your super chat, bro. Let me tell you, hey, I appreciate it, guys. But see, the super chat thing, the way it works, you better just type your question. The super chat, all right, I prioritize those because obviously, one, I appreciate it. Then it pops up on my screen. If your super chat is below, I want to say $4.99, it's not going to pop on my screen. So one, I have to go look for it, right? It's just how it works on my end, just so you know. So if you're sending a super chat specifically for a question, $4.99 is the threshold, I believe, where it comes up on my screen and I see it. The second thing is, you have to, I think you can ask a question like the number of characters or whatever depends on the donation. So for example, when you send like, and again, I appreciate everything, all right? But when you send 99 cents, it doesn't give you the room to type something. And so that's the problem. One, it doesn't pop up on my screen. Two, you can't type your question. So I have to see that and then go back and scroll, which kind of defeats the purpose. I have to start searching for your question. Okay. So that's the issue. So you're better off just like you really don't have to make a donation. It's okay. Just send a question. It's just, yes, I am stuck on the super chats right now, but once I get done, I'll go to the other side and just read questions from there. It's just I won't get to everybody. That's all. Let's see. GPL 2000 says going into 3 weeks no contact with the one that I dated for 2 months. Oh, geez. Who moved for work? If it goes past 30 days and I don't hear from her, is it safe to say she has moved on? Well, you can't. Like, this is one of those like yes or no. I can't tell you like because I'm not God, but a 2 month relationship, in my experience, a 2 month relationship is not so significant that she can't move on after 30 days for sure. It's not. But would that change my approach? Remember, this is all a mindset. So it still wouldn't change my approach. So you can understand that, okay, because the basis of no contact, I was telling a client this today, is that emotional connection, that bond. Is it possible to have a strong bond after a few months? Yes, it's possible. But chances are the bond would have been even stronger if you were together longer. All right. So the more physical the relationship as far as intimacy, the level of commitment a lot of times, like were you boyfriend, girlfriend, were you engaged, were you married? Sometimes there's kids involved. Complicated, but again, there's such a deep attachment, and these things are very difficult to just walk away from. And so on that basis, 2 months, again, it's it's a very short time. It doesn't mean you will never hear from her, but um, she can definitely get over you quicker for sure. Mo Buckets, 3 month relationship, long distance, um, DC to New York. Okay, I visited her 3 times. She came once. No contact since the breakup. Since the breakup, call 7 months now. Yeah. She said didn't feel a deep connection on the call, haven't heard at all. Want her back any chance. Okay, this is one of those. If your no contact period is longer than the relationship, at this point, just assume it's safer to just assume that they moved on. But here's the thing. I would see this person more as a like you continue to move on with your life. Again, 3 month relationship, 7 month no contact. That's longer than the relationship. So that type of person, it's more likely that you're just going about life, doing your own thing. You post a story, she swipes up on your story. Oh, a nice cat. And you pick things up from there. As opposed to saying, like, oh, after 7 months, she's definitely going to come back. Okay. So, what I would do, Mo Buckets, if you haven't, you said you already had the call. If you haven't done like a random, simple, one-time Hail Mary phone, like, hey, what's up? Just checking in. If you've already done that, that's it. I would walk away forever. But again, a 3 month relationship, long distance, chances are you guys didn't really get to build that deep connection. And that's actually what she said. And that's what makes them come back is the connection. Dated 4 years with, dated 4 years, broken up. Uh, okay, I think those are dates. You guys make this with these abbreviations. Okay. Broke up 24th of January is what I think you're saying. I begged. I found your videos. no contact, 34 days. She texted today, has been thinking about me and wants no bad blood between us and still loves me. I did not reply. Okay. And so I'm guessing your question is how, like, should you have replied and so on and so forth? Well, understand, like, if you've been no contact for 34 days, all right, and she says that, that's her, like, kind of, just testing the waters. Okay. And this is what I would have done if I were in your shoe. Okay. At this point, based on what she's saying, okay, this is not a just randomly checking in. This is, she's making an assumption. And what I would have done is I would diffuse that assumption. So she's making an assumption that the reason you're not talking to her is because there's bad blood, or basically you're so hurt. That's why you're not talking to her. And I wouldn't give her that kind of power. And so when you ignore, it almost confirms what she's saying. All these things are subtle, but that's what it does. So if I was in your shoe, I would have just said, been thinking about you and wants no bad blood. I would have just said, no bad blood, no bad blood at all. Hope you're doing well. That's it. And I would leave it alone. Now, chances are she would have messaged you after, because all you've just shown in that is an indifference. Like, no, I'm not, we're not talking because I'm so hurt. We're not talking because I'm moving on, basically. And then maybe she'll reach out after that and maybe like, okay, well, so we can be friends. And you say, oh, no, 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 no. We're not friends. I have no interest in friendship. I'm not upset with you, not angry. I honestly wish you well. All right. But I can't be friends. Yeah. So that's why she's saying those things. It's because your actions, you're behaving like you are upset, as opposed to just, slowly dating and getting back together. So evolution says, I did type. What did you type, bro? I don't see anything. You didn't type nothing, bro. You didn't type nothing. Yeah, you didn't. What I see from you is a 99-cent donation, which I appreciate, but I don't see any words, and I think that's by design. I don't think I don't think YouTube allows you to put words in that. So if you're saying you set that, and then you typed your question separately, what I'm telling you is that defeats the purpose, because your message gets mixed up with everybody else, and I can't find it. The super chats, I find them because they pop up on my screen. Okay. So just type your question again and maybe I'll see it. Um, okay, let's see. Okay, let's see some more questions here. Should we try to contact after 2 months of no contact? And the ex is not committed to the rebound yet. She reached out like 3 times. I didn't. We are about 24-year-old students. As I was alluding to earlier, she reaches out to you, set a date. If she's not in a relationship, according to you, she's not in a relationship with this person, so she's kind of casually dating them, which is fine. So you kind of assume, and again, for some people, this is a deal breaker. This is all about personal preference. Um, but if you're still open, which it sounds like you are, you understand after a breakup, she doesn't owe you anything. You don't owe her anything. So technically, you can go date whoever you want. But if she's not in a relationship and you still want her, she reaches out to you, set a date. Hey, good to hear from you. When are you free? Let's get together. Let's do something together. That's it. What you need to understand, all right? Women do the choosing, men do the pursuing. And I'm going to make a video about this just for a simple way to think about it. Women do the choosing, men do the pursuing. So what does that look like? If she texts you, right, she could potentially be choosing you, right? She's showing some interest. And watch this. So you do the pursuing. So you go into your role and you say, hey, let's get together. Let's do something, right? That's your role. Well, if she's choosing you, she'll allow you to pursue her. Does that make sense? So if you say, hey, let's do something, and it's always like, I'm so busy and work is crazy. She's not, she's wasting your time. Okay. Women do the choosing, men do the pursuing. If she doesn't allow you to pursue her, meaning when you try to set up dates, it never happens for whatever reason, she's not interested. And ladies, think about it the opposite way. If you are constantly showing interest in a guy, which you do, and I'm sure you know, you like the post, you like the stories, you text him, you say, hey, I was thinking about you. And he's willing to talk to you, but he never initiates a date. Not, hey, why don't you come over to my place? That doesn't count. So if he doesn't pursue you, he's not interested currently. You can't do both roles. And and I'm going to make a video about this. If you find yourself trying to do both roles, you're the one initiating, so choosing all the time, like constantly showing interest. And then you're also the one suggesting getting together. And they're just kind of like, that's a one-sided relationship. They're not interested. Let's see here. Thanks for the question. Andy Avila says, hey, coach, long time no see. Hope everything's well. Cool. Found out she's seeing someone. How long is it considered a rebound after the breakup? Thanks. Well, it really depends on, how soon after the breakup she started dating them. Right. And how soon after the breakup she started dating them. Right. And did she even take any time to process the things that happened? Did she take any time to process the separation? All those things matter. So let's assume, for example, you guys dated for 2 years. Let's say you dated for 2 years. And she started dating this guy, 6, 7 months after the breakup. That's not a rebound. That's just someone new that she's dating. But let's say you dated for 2 years and a month after you break up, she starts dating someone else. Then that's a rebound. And typically, in my experience, those usually don't last more than 6 months. They're usually a lot longer. You'll see some last like a little bit longer, like closer to a year, but most in general, they don't last that long. So again, it just depends on how long after the breakup she started seeing this guy. Okay, Maya says she wanted to be friends, but I cut all contact for 34 days. Prior to that, texted today. She texted happy birthday and called. I did not respond. I still love her and want us to work, but need to feel valued. Yeah, I mean, that makes a lot of sense. What I would say though is you need to communicate what you want ahead of time, and maybe you've already done this. So if you've done this, then fine, I understand. So if you communicated before, like, hey, I don't want to be friends. I'm not interested in that. I care about you. I want to work on this. I'm open to us taking it slow and seeing if we can get back to where if you've already communicated that and she said, no, I'm not interested. I just want to be friends. Then yes, then what you're doing is fine. But if you just right after the breakup went full silent mode with no kind of stating your expectations, then you can do that. Okay. I wouldn't just ignore without a clear communication as to why. Because definitely after a while, like you don't want to entertain breadcrumbs. So that could certainly be where you're at. But before you get to a point where you're just flat out ignoring them, you want to make sure you've communicated clearly your expectations and they didn't agree to those expectations. Then you can ignore. Let's see here. All right, let's do a couple more questions and then let's see here. Almighty Cam says 5-year relationship, 2 months no contact. She started talking to some guy, and wait, 5-year relationship, 2 months no contact. She started talking to some guy, and I went no contact. She sent me a letter through my aunt 3 days ago saying she missed me, but I'm blocked on everything. Still thoughts. Well, she's just trying to provoke emotions. If she wants to talk to you, she'll reach out. Chances are, I don't know, and maybe you don't know either, what her loyalty to this guy is at the moment. Because if she's going out of her way to write a letter, but you're blocked, she might have told him, like, oh, I'm going to stop talking to my ex. So she's not trying to leave some kind of record. But I would still do nothing. If she's serious, she can contact you. Definitely do not send her a letter. I wouldn't even respond to the letter. It's not necessary. If she wants to talk to you, she can unblock you and message you. Don't respond to snail mail. Let's see here. Michael, she broke up with me saying that it was draining and that I was too dependent. I broke no contact 3 days later due to anxiety, just to find out she had feelings for others, been in no contact for 2 weeks. Thoughts? Well, you got to get control of the anxiety. I was alluding to this with another guy. You know, um, you got to get your masculine energy back, and that's all, and that's why it became draining for her. You cannot be you cannot be the man in the relationship who is constantly seeking validation from her. You can't. Because after a while, she's going to get sick of it. She needs to be able to rely on you. Now, I'm not saying that, she shouldn't be there for you, because she will. But if there's just that huge gap in interest level and you're always the one chasing and seeking validation, and why don't you care and why are you acting different, she's going to get turned off. And so that's very clear. So she's feeling that high pressure from you. She breaks up with you. Literally 2 days later, you break and you chase. All right. Obviously, that's not going to work. And so now you've been in no contact 2 weeks, and then you say, I've been thinking about texting her. Why couldn't she just tell me the truth? Listen to that. And again, this is for your good. I'm trying to help you. You cannot force anyone to do anything. And even when you try, and when you're saying things, I know you're hurt, but this comes off as emotionally manipulative. Okay. Just so you know, it just won't work. So look at it from this perspective. All right. So she said you were draining her and you were too dependent. Your solution after 2 weeks of silence is you want to say, why couldn't you just tell me the truth? You see how that's blaming her? I'm not saying she's a saint. I'm not saying she's perfect. I'm sure she's not. But again, that is still you needing her to make you feel whole. That is still you needing an explanation from her. And that is still going to be draining, because even if she answered this to your satisfaction, right? That is still you being dependent on her for answers to move on. So you're literally reinforcing the same issue. You need to show her an ability to walk away. You need to show her that, okay, because basically you need to show her that you can be strong and independent. Reaching out to her is literally the worst thing you can do. The worst. So There you go. I would not text her for any reason. And you certainly should not be trying to blame her, even if she's not a perfect partner. Blaming her, I'm telling you, it just puts you in the weak position. Do nothing. Let's see here. But work on yourself. And again, if you joined late, definitely watch this live. I'm gonna make sure it's published on my channel. I recommend some books for you guys to read. They will help you. They will help you. I understand it's hard, bro, but you can get through this, my guy. I believe in you, bro. All right, let's do a couple more. It's been fun. I'm having a good time answering your questions. Um, Nisi says, "Hey, coach, thank you for helping me during my breakup. I appreciate it. It's a blessing. It's a blessing to be able to do this. Let me say, hey, do me a favor if you're just joining, hit the like button for me. We're gonna wrap up here in a couple minutes, so let me do a few more, and we're gonna call it. But thank you all again. I really appreciate you for tuning in, watching, and this is a fun one. A lot of great questions. I know you guys are going through a lot. I hope this is helpful. Okay, I know I don't get to go live all the time, but it's truly an honor. It's truly a blessing to be able to do this. All right, wait a second. Let's see, Mo Buckets. Uh, yeah, shout out to Mo Buckets. He says, keep no contact going forever. There are days that are tough, but stay mentally strong. I see a lot of these less than 3 months no contact, and people get scared. Stay strong. Absolutely, that's true. Shout out to Mo Buckets. Andy Villa said, I honestly think it was right after, but can confirm, about 2.5 to 3 months after that, she was seeing someone else. Is it a rebound? If you guys were together longer than 2 years, then yeah, that's a rebound. If you were together for 2 months and 2 months later she's seeing someone else, it's not really a rebound. It's just all right. So let's assume you were seeing each other for a couple of years, and yes, I would say that's a rebound. Let's see here. Let's see here. Jake. Jake Blake says, Coach, I was in no contact with my ex called me one night at midnight. I did not see my phone and called her back 10 minutes later as she contacted me. Did she never answered or reached out again? Neither did I. What's your question? I wouldn't have answered, by the way, and I've talked about this before. I talk about how like the premise of this thing is self-respect and confidence. So if she's calling you at midnight, like it's not going to be a productive conversation. You shouldn't be losing sleep just because they called you. So I would have waited till the next day. But bottom line, you answered or you called back 10 minutes later and she didn't answer. Fine. The ball's in her court. She was probably just testing the water. All right, let's see here. Let's see. All right, this is it. From Beardsy. If I miss anyone else, and Evolution, I still didn't see your question. Well, Beardsy, man, let's do Beardsy. Beardsy says, broke my ex's trust. She left ending our 2 year relationship, blocked on socials, no contact for 3 months. Reached out on WhatsApp to apologize and got blocked there 1 day later. What now? She reposts sad stuff. Nothing to do. You're just respecting her boundary. But how did you break her trust? What did you do? All right, this is the last super chat. Let me just say, don't send any super chats because we're wrapping. Okay, but I appreciate it. Okay. Nah says, what if she watches all my stories with fake accounts? I was unblocked. She now sees them with her account. I contacted after 50 days and tried to set a coffee convo. Was nice, but she rejected. That's it. I'll never reach out to her again, ever. 50 days is a decent amount of time. I would have went longer. Okay, that's not quite 2 months. I tell you 3 to 4 months, so it's still early. So you took your Hail Mary way too early, but I wouldn't do it again. All right, so you reach out once in a cordial way, and they say no, done, over. All right. Ayush says, um, Coach, my ex and I are still very close. Okay. Let's see how this ends. When we go no contact, should we put a time limit on it or go no contact indefinitely? Forever. Till they reach out to you. Okay. There you go. All right. There it is, guys. Thanks for all the questions. This was a fun one. Do me a favor before you roll out, hit the like button. Um, and again, thank you all. I really appreciate it. We got a couple of calls tomorrow and Friday. So if you want to talk, if there's anything you really want to talk about, book a call and we can talk. Otherwise, I'll be back in a couple of weeks. And also, I'm still going to I'm going to record a couple videos before. And so you'll still see at least 1 or 2 videos between now and when I get back. But thanks again for watching. Thanks for all your support. Thank you for everything. All right, stay strong. Peace.